Ladies and gentlemen, boxing fans, tea spillers, and drama addicts, brace yourselves because the Guat just got gagged. That's right, Claressa Shields. The Olympic champion, unbeaten beast in the ring, and social media's fitness queen was dragged out of her training facility in full police custody. And guess who was there? His Papoose looked like he had just watched his entire playlist of loyalty anthems burn. According to eyewitnesses, he was pleading with the police not to take her, pacing and quivering as if it were the BEGS Awards again. Let's start at the beginning, or more precisely, from the moment everything started to smell like Claressa Shields. Training camp, we're not just talking about sweat and adrenaline, we're talking about paranoia, secrecy, and one suspicious-looking gym. Meltdown captured on camera, leaked online, and now under federal investigation because that viral clip, the mysterious file, and the late-night hallway footage, it was all real. And now it's evidence. Claressa's story isn't just falling apart, it's being torn open like a poor weave in round 12 nail polish. For those of you who are living under a rock, Claressa Shields, also known as the Guat, the face of women's boxing, or I don't lose, I dominate, has been riding a wave of success. So while that even her detractors couldn't keep up, Olympic golds, championship belts, reality show appearances, Instagram deals, and that energy drink promo where she punches through a brick wall double check. But beneath all that glitz, fans began to notice that something wasn't adding up. 2 weeks ago, Claressa shared a video of herself sparring for 16 consecutive rounds without a break, without stopping, sweating, or deep breathing, with a full smile. The caption was strange. Read, "There's no fatigue when you're built differently." Syringe fire. Syringe fans clocked that very quickly. Normally, that would be dismissed as hype talk. But then there was the first leak. A blurry surveillance video of someone who looked a lot like Papoose leaving a locked gym room at 3:12 a.m. talking into his phone while holding a little cooler bag. It's handled. She's good for tomorrow. It's handled well for what that clip alone began trending before Claressa ever made a joke that morning. But folks weren't the only ones who noticed. Patterns included Claressa's unparalleled endurance in training, the abrupt departure of her longtime strength coach, and the fact that she stopped doing open media workouts for the first time in her career. Then came the disgusting picture, of the gloved hand holding a small glass vial that was time-stamped and geotagged at her private gym. The label was partially torn, but it was still visible enough to reveal a chemical compound that was allegedly on WADA's watch list within a day. Claressa vial and Papoose were trending in 5 different countries, and let's not forget the man who rapped about loyalty for 10 years. Because in another video that was made public a few days later, you can clearly see Papoose giving Claressa something in between sparring rounds. It's brief and subtle, but the zoomed-in fan breakdowns were brutal. Was it water, a supplement, or the same exact vial? Fans have already broken it down frame by frame. To be clear, all of it hasn't been officially confirmed, but in the public's mind, the trial was already over and Claressa remained silent, with no interviews, Instagram lives, or tweets other than a mysterious post that read, "They're watching, but they aren't ready for what I do next." Then, all of a sudden, everything collapsed because the one thing no one anticipated, in fact. The arrest took place at approximately 8:46 a.m. on Monday, after receiving what they called a formal submission of evidence from an anonymous source. The Detroit Police Department arrived at her training facility. Some claim it came from inside the camp, while others are whispering Remima's name louder than ever. Eyewitnesses say Claressa was mid-stricken when officers entered, and she froze. Her team attempted to intervene, but once they showed the sealed warrant, it was over and she was handcuffed, read her rights, and escorted out while reporters, gym patrons stood silent in shock and awe. He got into a heated argument with an officer, and at one point was heard saying, "She ain't no criminal. You don't know what's really going on." One officer reportedly told him, "Step back, sir, if you don't want to be part of this arrest. Don't become part of the report now." Let's pause for a second. Claressa's being arrested at her own gym is crazy. But the fact that Papoose was there trying to shield her like it's 2007, and they're in a ride-or-die mixtape is what made the footage go viral, because it isn't just about drugs or scandals. It's about loyalty, lies, and who has been covering for whom. Some fans, according to an insider, a former member of Claressa's media team, allegedly spilled this information anonymously. The Pap was constantly present during supplement deliveries, checking bags and whispering with the doctor that the man wasn't just holding pads, but was managing the secrets. Let's not overlook the implications for Claressa's career. She wasn't just preparing for any fight. It was supposed to be her biggest title defense yet on pay-per-view in front of her hometown crowd, and the arena has been booked for investigation. Updates and the promotional posters have disappeared from her social media accounts. What was once a celebration of greatness has, one assistant coach liked a dubious tweet that read, The higher they rise, the louder the fall isn't new. It just got caught on tape. As if that wasn't enough, sponsors are already ghosting. After she was arrested, an energy drink company that had referred to her as the future of female sport discreetly took down all of her pictures from their website, according to one source. They even stopped her next to campaign payments as they awaited the results of the investigation. The crazy part is this might just be the beginning because, according to court documents that Gossip Spill Vibe was able to obtain, this wasn't just a local arrest, there was a federal enhancement probe involved. This means that if those substances were even partially banned, Claressa could face years, months, or even worse, suspension. The biggest question now isn't even about Claressa, rather, it's what Papoose actually knows and how deep this cover-up goes, because trust and believe that the next part of the story is going to get even messier, because just when we thought that Claressa's being dragged out of her gym in handcuffs was a scandal, we had it with the documents. Only 36 hours after Claressa was arrested, an anonymous Twitter account called The Gloves Off posted what they claimed was a secure link to more than 42 pages of scan documentation, including medical logs, supplement receipts, inventory tracking sheets, and even signed authorizations with Claressa's name on them. The real plot twist, though, is that some of those forms also bore Papoose's signature. According to these leaked records, Papoose was allegedly the logistics coordinator for Claressa's personal supplement regimen, including substances that are currently under investigation. X27 Regional. Be clear. Redline G12 injections. Now, let's be clear. None of those names mean much to the average fan, but to people in the performance enhancement industry, it's like saying she entered the ring with rocket fuel in her veins. Reddit exploded, and conspiracy channels on TikTok had side-by-side breakdowns comparing her pre-2023 fights to her most recent bouts. You can literally see her breathing change. One TikToker said, "Notice the bounce in her footwork. That's not normal, that's chemical." But the real damage wasn't just online. Corporate brands began outpacing Claressa in round one. A major sneaker brand then came the press conferences within 72 hours of the arrest. Nike quietly archived all posts featuring her image, while her energy drink sponsor pulled an upcoming TV spot just 10 minutes before it was scheduled to air. Claressa's management team then released a robotic 3-line statement that read, "Ms. Shields maintains her innocence. We believe due process will clear her name." No more comments were made at this time. But while Claressa remained silent, the rest of the world couldn't stop talking. And who appeared next? None other than the queen of timed chaos, Remy Ma. Now, we're not saying Remy was involved. A trash kin emoji in a boxing glove? Yeah, the internet went crazy. Papoose instantly went viral along with #RemyOs, and fans began piecing together timelines of Remy and Papoose breakup rumors, starting just 2 months before Claressa's leaked file footage of that messy IG live where Remy shaded someone for using steroids to keep a man. It turns out that it was posted 2 hours after a Claressa sparring video dropped. Perhaps it was a coincidence, but in the world of messy YouTube tea, that's essentially a confession. One former promoter even slid into a podcast interview and declared that everyone in the meantime, Claressa's team attempted to do damage control the old-fashioned way by pretending it didn't happen. But that backfired badly because a local Detroit news outlet got their hands on footage from the arrest, and you're talking about Claressa throwing her gloves on the floor and screaming. This is a setup. Pappy was standing in front of the squad car window, tapping the glass, saying, "Don't say anything until I call the lawyer. The industry doesn't ask. Don't film policy for months." The real surprise is that it took this long for it to blow up. As he drives away, he turns around and looks directly into someone's phone camera and says, "You better hope the truth doesn't come out about all of you." But who are you all? Why does Pappy seem to be hiding more than just secrets, and who else could be involved after all? Claressa was supposed to be the main attraction at a multi-million-dollar card in Vegas next month. But now that the fight has been cancelled, the undercard is in disarray, and fighters who trained for 8 weeks have lost their paychecks. One of them, an undefeated featherweight named Ariana Snapback Green, went live in tears saying, "I trained my whole soul for this. I got cut from my job just to prepare, and now I'm out." Claressa's fanbase was severely impacted by the backlash, to the point where even ardent supporters began to abandon her. A well-known boxing YouTuber called Box It or Drop It posted, "We don't support cheating no matter how famous you are. The GOAT title isn't just about punches. It's about honor, and if she lied, that belt's meaningless, oof." But if you thought this was just about some training room drama and leaked logs, wait for the twist. Deep within those leaked files was a signed invoice bill to something called Project Recovery Phase 1, dated 6 weeks ago. For the monthly cycle occurred, vials and mask labels, Let's think about international sourcing. Claressa may not have used prohibited substances alone. She may have been funding a covert operation to keep it undetectable. A source close to the matter told us off the record that it wasn't a single error but rather a system, and Papoose was the system's glue. Well, let's talk about what this means for the man in the hoodie. While Claressa faces suspension, fines, and possibly jail time, Papoose may face obstruction charges if prosecutors prove that he knowingly assisted in the concealment of prohibited substances. Legal experts are already speculating that a grand jury may be forming. And if Papoose is on that list, let's say alphabetical order isn't looking so friendly for Mr. P. Meanwhile, Remy Ma, who hasn't spoken since that dubious tweet, just released a new freestyle called Court Date Flow. Sample. The lyric said, "He loved you clean but loved her dirty, gave her shots when the gloves got flirty." Phew, she didn't name names. But the internet made the connection before the beat even released all of this. And Claressa hasn't said a word. There was only a courtroom sketch, a sealed locker, and a community of fans wondering, how do we go from great to gone? But the worst isn't even over yet. Because as the investigation continues, names are being whispered behind closed doors. It didn't take long after the arrest for the public pressure to reach a boiling point, and when the media smelled blood, they did what they do best. They swarmed outside the courthouse with reporters camped for hours. Some fans showed up wearing t-shirts that read #FREAK is Essa, while others chanted, "Strip the belt," as police escorted her in the crowd, which split like it was a heavyweight title fight. But this time the fight was over truth, and inside it got even uglier. Going back 7 months, including anonymous clinic visits under false pretenses, cash payments made through middlemen, custom import orders of flag supplements, and secret recordings made by a former team member of Claressa. Yes, secret recordings. Reportedly showed that one of the key witnesses provided audio evidence of Claressa confessing to trying something to get past the plateau. In that same clip, Papoose is allegedly heard in the background saying, "Just keep your dosage low. I'll handle the paperwork, game over." Before we discuss the legal ramifications, let's be clear, this was a criminal case, not just a sports scandal. Prosecutors used the phrase misconduct with intent to deceive governing bodies a lot during the hearing, and guess what? Days after the court date, representatives flew into Detroit for a closed-door meeting. And now, boxing commissions from several states are reopening every match Claressa has fought in since 2022. Some are even considering stripping her titles retroactively, which could make the GOATs the biggest fall from grace in female boxing history. But what about Papoose? Let's talk about him. More quickly than a Bet Awards seating chart, they are looking into whether he obstructed justice by falsifying athletic documentation. In addition, they are investigating offshore payments that were linked to a phony fitness consulting business that was purportedly registered in his name. To top it all off, one of Claressa's doctors is now cooperating, allegedly telling investigators that she wasn't acting alone and that every protocol she followed was a middleman. Damn! The man who once made Remy Ma cry with anniversary raps is now accused of supporting one of the most sophisticated doping operations in recent sports history. You can't make this up. But we did, and you're crying aloud, face. But the story doesn't end in court because the emotional toll has been equally devastating. In a now-deleted Instagram story, Claressa shared a black screen with the caption, "This world only loves you when you're winning. Remember that." The picture included a broken heart emoji and a pair of handcuffs. Some fans rushed to defend her, saying that she's being used as an example by others, calling her another Lance Armstrong with lip gloss. Speaking of moving on, guess who has been quietly lurking in the background? Remy Ma. Not only did she release a second freestyle, this one titled War in Season, but fans caught her in the comments of a boxing meme account liking a post that said, "Play dirty, get dragged." It may have been a coincidence, but when combined with a recent paparazzi photo of her dining with Claressa's former manager, it's giving revenge chess moves. Additionally, the media went crazy. One talk show host joked, "Claressa didn't just throw punches, she threw needles." Boxing forums banned the topic because it caused too much division, and sports networks are frantically deciding whether to erase her legacy or document her downfall. Like it's an ESPN 30 for 30. Finally, it's an anonymous insider from WADA has come forward to say that Claressa's case isn't unique. That's correct. There was a whole network of fighters linked to the same shadow doping system, and Papoose may have been a recruiter, middleman, or cleanup guy, which explains the receipts under the 3 a.m. check-ins. It wasn't just love, it was business, and if federal investigators verify this, we may see arrests of people other than Claressa, such as managers, trainers, and even sponsors. This isn't just a downfall, it's a cascade of events, and where does that leave the fans? Bewildered, heartbroken, and frantically choosing new heroes? If there's one thing we've learned from all of this, it's that secrets don't stay hidden forever. Now that the gloves are off, the handcuffs are on, and the secrets are spilling faster than Papoose running to cover a vial with his hoodie, we have to ask, was Claressa ever clean? Did Papoose knowingly help orchestrate one of the biggest scandals in boxing history? And finally, is this just the beginning of a much bigger takedown? Because if a woman who once stood for self-made greatness, discipline, and legacy could be caught up in a lab-tested lie, what does that say about the rest of the industry? And let's be honest, where does Remy Ma fit into all of this? Was she just a bitter ex stirring things up? Or did she subtly start this whole arrest process to get the last word? Oh, and let's not forget that Project Recovery invoice that was leaked. Who else was involved? Are fighters still competing with full synthetic support? And is Papoose about to become the snitch of the century to save himself? There are too many layers, too many lies, and too much tea to ignore it. Framed? Or did her ego finally cash a check that her gloves couldn't cover? Remember to press the like, tap subscribe, and click the notification bell while you're down there sharing your theories.